Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into a massive, honestly kind of hidden VA benefit that's worth over $2,000 a month. And here's the kicker. Thousands of veterans and surviving spouses are completely missing out on this money. Why? Well, they're inadvertently disqualifying themselves before they even begin. So we're going to unpack exactly what this benefit is, who it's actually for, and how you can stop leaving this literal life-changing support on the table.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the hidden monthly benefit itself, bust the combat myth, reveal the real truth about income limits, look at those overlooked surviving spouse benefits, and finally, talk about applying and handling VA denials. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The hidden monthly benefit.
To put this in perspective, with a 2026 rate of up to $2,431 a month, a single veteran could be leaving nearly $300,000 on the table over a 10-year period. Just think about that number for a second. That is real, life-changing money, and the VA specifically set it aside to cover the staggering costs of getting older. The whole goal here is to keep veterans comfortable, safe, and out of state-funded facilities when they just need a little bit of help. But this massive pool of money, it goes uncollected year after year simply because the people who desperately need it have absolutely no idea the program even exists.
Since the VA doesn't exactly run TV ads for this, it's entirely up to you to understand what aid and attendance actually is. Basically, it's a powerful pension supplement designed to help cover daily living costs. We're talking about the basic, everyday things we all kind of take for granted. Bathing safely, getting dressed, making meals, or just getting around the house. Look, the VA isn't going to send you a letter or call you out of the blue to offer you an extra couple $1,000. This benefit is sitting right there in the system, just waiting for someone to raise their hand. But, most folks just assume they aren't eligible and never ask.
Section 2. Busting the combat myth.
So, do you need to have served in combat to qualify? Listen to me closely on this one. The assumption that you needed to be in an active combat zone, taking fire, or deployed overseas is completely 100% wrong. Yet it is the single biggest reason people don't apply. Veterans everywhere think, well, I was never shot at, I never left the country, so this definitely isn't for me. They incorrectly associate all VA benefits exclusively with frontline injuries.
But here's the actual truth. A mechanic stationed in Georgia or a payroll clerk sitting at a desk in California qualifies just as much as an infantry soldier on the front lines. The application itself doesn't even ask if you ever saw combat. Your specific military job just doesn't matter here. The only fundamental requirement is 90 days of total active duty service, with just one single day of that service falling within a recognized wartime period. That is literally it. It breaks my heart because so many incredibly deserving veterans talk themselves out of applying just because they feel their service wasn't, quote-unquote, heroic enough.
When you're looking at your service dates, it's super important to know how the VA actually defines these wartime periods. It covers World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam era. But notice this right here. The Gulf War era started in August 1990 and actually has no official end date yet. No end date. That means anyone serving on active duty since August 1990 is considered a wartime veteran by the VA. Desert Storm in 91? You qualify. A routine peacekeeping assignment in 96? You qualify. A logistics specialist stateside in 2010? Yep, you qualify. Please do not let incorrect assumptions about wartime service rob you of the benefits you absolutely earned.
All right, Section 3. The truth about income limits.
Now, before you panic about the net worth limit and assume you're way too rich for this program, just take a deep breath. Yes, the VA looks at your assets, but your primary residence, even if it's a sprawling million-dollar home, and your primary personal vehicle are completely excluded from this calculation. Oh, and your household property doesn't count either. So let's say you own a $400,000 home, drive a $30,000 car, and have $100,000 tucked away in savings. Your countable net worth is just that $100,000 in savings, which puts you very, very comfortably under the VA's limit. You absolutely do not have to be completely destitute to get this help.
It is absolutely crucial to let the VA run the calculation before you decide you make too much money. Check this out. A veteran bringing in $3,000 a month but facing massive care costs actually has a countable income of zero in the eyes of the VA. Zero. And this isn't some secret loophole or clever accounting trick. This is exactly how the system was designed to function. The VA takes your gross income, stuff like your pension and Social Security, and then they subtract your unreimbursed medical expenses. If those medical expenses are higher than your income, boom, your countable income drops to zero and you're eligible for the maximum benefit amount.
So every single dollar you spend out of pocket on medical expenses reduces your countable income, moving you closer and closer to being eligible.
Now, this includes obvious things, right? Like assisted living facilities and nursing homes. But it also covers so much more. In-home aids, Medicare Part B and Part D premiums, supplemental Medigap insurance, prescription copays, adult daycare, even the miles you drive to your doctor's appointments. Seriously, if you're paying out of pocket for a wheelchair or paying someone to help you bathe, you need to document every single cent. This deduction is the real game changer that most middle-class families completely miss when they just assume their monthly income disqualifies them.
Moving right along, Section 4. Overlooked surviving spouse benefits.
Did you know surviving spouses can claim up to $1,318 per month in 2026? When you stretch that out, you're looking at over $150,000 over a decade of care. If your husband or wife served on active duty during one of those recognized wartime periods we just talked about, and they were discharged under conditions other than dishonorable, this money is there to support you. The VA totally recognizes that military service impacts the whole family. So this benefit is specifically designed to ensure the widows and widowers of our veterans aren't left struggling to pay for care as they get older.
And here's a massive point. Your spouse could have left the military, worked a regular civilian job for 40 years, and passed away from something completely unrelated to their time in the service. And guess what? You can still qualify. You absolutely do not need a service-related cause of death to get this benefit. As long as they met the basic wartime service requirement and you were legally married to them at the time of their passing, you are fully eligible to apply for aid and attendance. This is a huge relief for spouses who incorrectly think their partner's natural passing disqualifies them from VA support. Consider this real-life example. An 82-year-old widow whose husband never even left Texas during the Vietnam era nearly doubled her income just because a friend finally told her about this program. She was living on just $1,400 a month from Social Security, barely scraping by and totally unable to afford help for her severe arthritis. She had literally no idea this VA benefit existed until someone at her church happened to bring it up. Look, the VA simply doesn't have the resources to track down every surviving spouse in the country. So if you're in this position or you know someone who is, you have to be the one to raise your hand and claim what is rightfully yours.
And finally, Section 5. Applying and handling denials.
Okay, let's talk logistics. You need to gather a very specific set of documents to apply successfully. We're talking about VA Form 21-2680, the Veterans DD-214 Discharge Certificate, your financial documents, and marriage or death certificates if applicable. Now, you can call the VA directly at 1-800-827-1000 to get the ball rolling. But hear me loud and clear on this. Gathering this exact checklist before you submit is absolutely critical. A complete, well-documented application can often sail through in 3 to 6 months, but an incomplete one, missing key forms, that can easily drag on in administrative purgatory for well over a year. And the absolute most important piece of that whole puzzle is your detailed medical statement from a physician.
Submitting a vague one-line medical note, something like patient is elderly and requires assistance or has limited mobility, is the #1 reason claims get delayed for up to 12 months. It's just not enough info for the VA evaluators to make a decision. The reviewers aren't doctors, right? They can't just guess what requires assistance actually means for your daily life. If your doctor hands you a generic note like this, you have to kindly ask them to rewrite it. Otherwise, the VA is just going to bounce your application right back to you, demand more info, and completely reset the clock on your claim.
Now, contrast that vague note with a strong, highly detailed statement, one that specifically names the activities of daily living you struggle with, the exact medical reason behind it, and how often you need care. For instance, explaining that a patient needs daily help with bathing due to severe arthritis, or help getting dressed because they physically cannot manipulate buttons. Now that is what gets approved. The VA needs to see exactly why you need aid and attendance, whether it's bathing, dressing, eating, or getting around. The more granular and specific your doctor can be about your conditions, the faster your application is going to move through the system. Okay, whatever you do, please do not pay a private company thousands of dollars to file this paperwork for you. There are accredited representatives at veteran service organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, and the DAV who will help you compile and file your entire claim completely for free. Yep, absolutely free. Unfortunately, there are companies out there charging crazy fees for what they vaguely call pension assistance, and some are just outright predatory scams targeting the elderly. Protect yourself and your money. Use these free, highly trained, and legally accredited resources instead. They know exactly what the VA needs to see.
Now, what if you do get denied? Maybe a vague medical note slipped through or there was a simple math error with your net worth. Do not give up. A denial is not the end of the road. You actually have 1 full year to use one of 3 appeal steps to fight back.
A lot of times, overturning a denial is just a matter of filing a supplemental claim with that better, more detailed doctor's note we talked about, or maybe submitting updated financial documents. You could also request a higher-level review to have a senior staffer double-check the math, or even take it to a board appeal. The system has built-in ways for you to correct the record, so use them.
At the end of the day, the VA isn't going to call you to hand over this money, so please share this explainer with every military family you know. Don't let assumptions about your income, your combat status, or your spouse's service history keep you from getting the life-changing support you've earned. It is time to stop disqualifying yourself. Which leaves us with one final question for you. Who in your life served our country and might be silently struggling with care costs today without realizing this exact lifeline is waiting for